So welcome to another episode of Sports Extra. I'm your host, Ruimbo Chakoreka, and today our venue for this wonderful episode is here at the legendary home ground of the Dragons. That's Old Georgians in Groombridge in the leafy northern suburbs. But of course, our episode is not going to be leafy throughout. We're going to be taking a look at the Paramount Garments Harare U20 Rugby League. It kicks off in a couple of days' time. In fact, this coming weekend. So you obviously want to tune in because as a Sports Extra, we've got a huge surprise for you to let you know how you can catch up with all of that action. And then, of course, we're going to be looking at the footballing fiasco in Zimbabwe, which is the Zimbabwean Football Association presidential race. It has taken another turn as a Prophet Walter Magaya was in court on Tuesday to try and get a decision to turn over things and not to have the elections actually staged on the 25th of January. Whether he won or not, well, we're going to be letting you know what all of that is about. And then on the international scene, the PSR rules, that's profit sustainability rules in the Premier League. Whoever breached them in 2023-2024, guess what? No punishment. For clubs like Manchester City, it's a huge sigh of relief. All this and so much more right here on Sports Extra. Alright, so let's kick things off on this week's episode. As we mentioned before, the Paramount Garments Harare U20 Rugby League is kicking off this weekend, and the special and big news that we have for you is that Sports Extra is going to be bringing you all of that action live and direct. Make sure that you tune in to our YouTube channel and make sure that you're following all of the various social media platforms as we bring you local rugby action. This kicks off the Zimbabwean rugby calendar, which is going to be really busy, and I'm sure culminating into the 2027 Rugby World Cup qualifier, which will be played in Uganda by the Senior Sables. But let's focus on the youngsters for a short little while. The Harare U20 Rugby League has been running, well, for ever since 2017. We can count out the COVID year, 2020 and 2021. Rugby came back effectively in 2022, particularly local rugby. And guess what? It has been pit bulls who have reigned on the scene for the longest period of time. They've won it all the time, except for once. That was in 2023, where they lost it to Old Georgians in a very tight match at Old Hararians Sports Club. But here at Old Georgians Sports Club, they've also been able to enjoy some success and been able to lift up the trophy in various occasions. But the first person that we would want to speak to about this particular coming season is the newly appointed chairman of the Harare Rugby Province, and that is Lindiwe Munerenyu. We caught up with her and she shared her thoughts on this year's season. All right, so now we are joined by the chairman of Harare Rugby, that's Lindiwe Munerenyu. Now, Lindiwe, obviously, we're getting into this season. This is the start of the Zimbabwe rugby calendar. And what a privilege it is for Harare Province to actually be kickstarting things. But we want to get straight into it and ask you, obviously you've got goals, you've got objectives, particularly for this season, newly coming into this position. What are some of the things that you're looking just to make sure they go well for this under-20 rugby league season?
I would really like all the teams to actually come through. It's one thing to register and say you're part of the league, and then to actually show up, and then to have more women teams participating. That is going to be exciting for me because I can't wait to see the new teams. I saw like Shining Smiles, Bindura Foxes. I'm excited to see what the women have to bring to the league. And most importantly, the Division 1. The teams have actually increased. So just naturally having more teams in the league is something I'm looking forward to.
All right. One of the other things I think that you really mentioned was in terms of women's teams that have come through and obviously participating. And we've seen the quality over the years kind of streamlining to a few teams. Generally, what are you also looking forward to in terms of all these other new teams that have come in as well?
I think they better perform. This is a competitive league. We take our rugby seriously in the Harare province. So we want amazing, entertaining rugby. We want to be able to see talent. We want to be able to have people that respect the game. because we do respect the game in the province.
All right. So obviously, I'm going to ask you a pretty hard one right now. You're obviously newly elected. Prior to you coming into the space, there was a whole lot of talk, whole lot of social media, all that stuff. It seems like the air is now becoming much clearer now in terms of where you want to go and what you want to do and achieve. What is now the aim, particularly looking at the under 20s and trying to progress this even to senior level? What is now the aim of yourself and your board?
To be honest, I'd love to see rugby go back to what I used to hear about it. There were times I heard about the NRL. I want that much noise to come back to rugby. We want fans to come back to rugby. More fans even. We want more people to say, you know what, I want to join rugby because that's the place to be. I've seen what it has done for Lindiwe. I've seen what it has done for Chiwoniso. I want people to actually benefit from playing in the league. So that means more sponsors actually coming through from seeing that there's actually life in rugby. And we hope to get that. We hope to make so much noise about rugby that people start paying attention to us.
Oh yes, and of course one of the ways that people are going to be paying attention is through Sports Extra. We're going to be bringing you all the action live and direct to you. Every single match day is going to be coming to you, so it's going to be really interesting. Now, Lindiwe, first and foremost, and obviously this would be breaking news for anybody, our first weekend of rugby, where is it happening? I know that you brought out some really good news, particularly on the channel. One of the major venues for Harare province is back, and congratulations on you being able to get that back on board.
Yes, I'm really excited about going back to HSC, and we're still in talks with the clubs because sometimes to finalize the other sports that are also played at these clubs. So just hoping to get the best venue for the starting is going to be concluded by the LSC by the end of the day. So I would hope that all fans just stay tuned. We will bring you the best venue possible.
Oh yes, and we'll be looking forward to that. And of course there are prospects of being able to have the two venues simultaneously with rugby happening. This is definitely something new as well.
Indeed it is. I mean, with all these teams now coming through to say, you know what, we want to be part of the league, it means expanding. And that's fine. We can actually host games in two different venues. We want to see how that goes actually. I understand that fans may want to watch the Premiership, may want to watch the women's, but as time goes, we'll see how best to just put everything together. For now, do stay tuned for two venues because the many teams that we have need to have two venues at a time.
Oh yeah, well we'll be looking forward to that. Now finally, you said you were talking about corporate sponsors. You can look in the cam. You'll be talking to any one of them right now and let them know what they can look forward to for this 2025 Harare Under 20 Rugby League season.
What I can urge sponsors to do is to come and join us. Rugby is the place to be. Rugby is the best place to be on a Saturday, even on a Sunday. We have so much talent that you can actually benefit from. Amazing stories from the players, from the administrators, from the technical teams, the refs. We just need you to believe in us and invest in us because we are the sport you should be investing in. Thank you to anyone who's willing to come through. We will be open for business and we are open for business.
Well, indeed, you heard it for yourself from the chairman of Harare Rugby, Lindiwe Munerenyu, and of course she's going to be on the ground each and every one of the days, so you can get to meet up with her and chat. But as we told you, right here, breaking Sports Extra, bringing you all the action live and direct for the Paramount Government's Harare Under 20 Rugby League for 2025. So interesting points that she shared there as the newly appointed Harare Rugby Chair. And I think one of the other things that you'll also be trying to look into is to make sure that there's a fantastic product, which we as a Sports Extra are going to be endeavoring to partner with Harare Rugby in delivering to you when it comes to the rugby season. But I think one of the other things as well that we would love to hear is from the previous winners. That is in 2023 winners, Old Georgians Sports Club. Now, they've been in a final against Pitbulls for a number of occasions. I guess we can count up to 4 occasions that they've been in the final with Pitbulls playing this particular trophy. And we caught up with the coach, that's Coach Tatenda Museba, and he spoke about how differently they want to approach this season and most probably win a second trophy.
Thanks, Chucks. The team is looking good. I think this time around we got one or two things right. Pre-season we started a little bit early, like beginning of November. So I think we have had like a couple of sessions under our belt over the past 2 months. So yeah, I think on this time around we've got a good start. Every time you want to have competition, I think it gets to push the players. And it pushes them out of their comfort zone. And yeah, like for the past 2-3 years, we have had the bulk of the under-20s coming from OGs. So I think it's a good thing for the system as a whole to have players come from one team, and it makes it so much easier when it comes to team chemistry and all those things like that. Yeah. So, but when it comes to competition, trust me, it's healthy competition. With this, what we need to improve is on our set pieces. I think that especially our lineouts and our scrums last year. That was our biggest letdown, but going into this season, I think it's something that have been our forwards coach is something that have been looking at, and it's something that have been really working hard on. So we have been working hard on our set pieces, and I'm sure once we get our set pieces right, then we should be good to go. #we are ready.
Well, great words there from Tatenda Museba. One of the others who have actually underperformed, considering their caliber and their pedigree in local Zimbabwean rugby, is Harare Sports Club. Now, Harare Sports Club had a pretty good season last year, coming out third, unable to make it into the final. But their coach, their head coach, that's Osborne Mohambi, a Harare Sports Club legend himself, came out and said, we are looking to do things a little bit differently this year, and who knows, we might topple some of the giants.
Look, we obviously came third last year, and we're looking to do better this year. We did lose quite a number of players going into 2025, but it's not a train smash really. Our plans are still there, our systems they seem to work, so we're just looking to do better than last season, which is what we've been doing gradually over the years. It's a work in transitioning, it's work in progress basically. So we started with a very young team. What I just managed to do is to keep the core players and build on each and every season after that. And as we kept building, we kept bringing other players in, to strengthen the side, obviously, to try to create some depth, which is why I say, I think we've lost over 8 to 10 players this season, but it's not a trace match because we have worked with the others as we're working with the core team throughout the years. We did, it's all about progress, so we are looking to get 1 or 2 over those 2 teams. We've come so close with Pitbulls, which is always an interesting game. Most of our players left and went to Old Georgians, which is probably maybe should be an easier game for me since I know most of them. But yeah, it's going to obviously be a difficult game because they are part of my core system. So, but it doesn't take away anything. We still work and we look to get one past at least one of them. We are ready.
So it looks like it is going to be an absolutely amazing season, a tantalizing season, I would like to actually say. And we're going to be giving you our thoughts and our predictions when we get closer into the weekend as to who we think is actually going to win. Don't forget to actually follow, to like, to share, to comment, to subscribe to all of our social media channels. We are going to be sharing some polls. We're also going to be putting up all of these interviews and discussions that we're having concerning the Paramount Garments Harare U20 Rugby League for this season. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to get straight into the football fiasco, and I've got my guest who's going to be joining me to discuss that. So welcome back to Sports Extra. Remember, don't forget to like, to share, to comment, to subscribe. We love your input. We love your comments. And thank you for subscribing more and more to our YouTube channel. We're just about to hit the 500 mark. I know we can hit 5,000 definitely by the time we get to the end of the year. So we truly appreciate all of your feedback as well as your likes and your shares. But joining me today in order to discuss what I am terming the football fiasco, the fun and frenzy, in actual fact, the circus that is happening in our local football, is Sean Chihuahua. Now, Sean, I didn't know that O-level results were so big when it came to actually becoming a ZIFA president.
They shouldn't be removed.
Apparently they are, though.
It's about competence. It's about the ability to execute the job and to do it well. Unfortunately, what happens is that without O levels, it's difficult to prove your competence in anything. So I think it's very important. And now with Prophet Walter Magaya going to court, effectively saying that, you know what, hold on, I've got everything that you need. I've been part of football for a long time. I've put money into a stadium. So surely I've got what it takes to be the president of ZIFA.
Well, okay, fine. There's obviously huge questions around that, because ZIFA Normalization Committee will actually say, no, Sean, he has got no room whatsoever to make it into that after having selected the people that we've selected. How much of a taint is this with Prophet Walter Magaya going to the High Court, also lodging a complaint to the Court of Arbitration for Sport alongside former footballer Benjani Marwari, as well as Gift Banda throwing in his appeal there at the Court of Arbitration for Sport? Is this election not becoming messy? And what does FIFA actually think about it?
I'll think that they have to make whatever you need to be eligible public knowledge. Everyone knows. All of you need to be said you've been involved in football for X number of years. You know, like setting it all out. And then afterwards, you look at yourself and you tick. Okay, do I fit here? No. Okay, so I'm out. So as a result, so Walter Magaya is now saying that I have to go to court. All level, he's saying he has it. So he goes to court. So what I'm thinking is that Benjani Marwari, for example, it just shows you how silly it is. He has played football at the highest level, played Champions League football. And you're saying because of a funny certificate that one gets when they're 16 years old, that they cannot run ZIFA. So you understand that all this is now sort of like exposing some of these rules and criteria that we've set for in our football. It all has to come out, be out in the open, and we know exactly what you need to be ZIFA president. But it does make scintillating viewing for us. We're just looking on as spectators.
So, Sean, coming back to actually what you spoke about a little bit earlier on, ZIFA has never really been known for being transparent or being open with information, rules, dates for courses, things like, you just hear, there's a training course happening today, there's this happening there, and so on and so forth. I mean, how much does that also begin to taint the whole process and maybe take us backwards rather than forwards?
I think the assumption is that it's not tainted already. Everything is all murky. As far as ZIFA, has there been a time where ZIFA, they've held elections and everything has been hunky or everything has been perfect? So it's typical of ZIFA. So this circus, as he called it earlier on, it's nothing new. We've come used to it. But what surprises me, Rovimbo, in all this is that why do we have such a long field with so many people wanting to get into football? What do they know that we don't know? Because it seems as if everyone, if you're involved in football, you have been part of football, you want to be ZIFA president. Is it the money? Is it the prestige? Is it the clout? The pride? Now people are going to court over it. So there's something maybe more than what meets the eye.
There's $50,000 US in my view that apparently has been offered from a CAF perspective for each and every executive. This is now for the president.
The president gets 50,000.
50,000.
But I'm thinking that the amount of money they're spending campaigning is more than this amount of money. Is there maybe more amount? I'm not saying casting aspersions on anyone, but I'm just saying there's so much money involved in football. But I don't think it's as much as you think. Maybe for me it's a lot, but looking at the caliber of the field, I don't think it's not a lot of money. So why do they all want to be part of that?
Well, or there's also general thinking around the fact that there is clout around football, especially when it comes to Zimbabwe.
Since when?
Ever since.
I know Philip Chiyango came in and broke the mold. Seeing someone that has been MP, someone that's a business person, you'll think maybe he's a millionaire or something, wanting to be in there. And then we have Felton Kamambo coming in. Doesn't so attractive when you went in. And then looking at it all, one wonders, what exactly is it all about?
Well, you ask a very pertinent question there, and I hope that it will actually be answered after all of these court issues are dealt with and finally done and dusted. I do know that Mr. Themba Mliswa has filed his application away from Harare. He's filed his application in Lawayo, but at the High Court as well. I'm not so sure if there's much of a difference, because I do believe it also comes back to Harare and then goes back. But anyway, that's just my thinking. The justice process, we leave it to those that will be dealing with that. And ultimately here at Sports Extra, we'll be giving you the 411 when it comes to that. But let's move on to another particular aspect. The 2025 Casolaga Premier Soccer League season is somewhat upon us. And it's come with obviously Scotland going on this massive buying spree. I'm not so sure if people should be really surprised. Simba Bora did it last season. They bought 11 players at the beginning of the season. It paid dividends ultimately at the end. But here we are. We've got them. They've bought over 15 players. But when we then cast our eye to the other side of life, that is the three footballing giants, the monuments of Zimbabwean football, which is Caps, Dynamos, Highlanders, it doesn't seem like as if it's looking that rosy, Sean.
It's not looking rosy, and even yesterday, Dynamos were announcing that Frank Mkarat is leaving as well. So we are wondering who's going to be playing for them. And then there's not much talk in terms of bringing players in the Dynamos. We know Lloyd Chigowe is still the head coach. We know he's a junior coach at best. So I'm thinking that if they may be given up the ghost and say, you know what, mid-table, that's where we are, and we're not going to put a lot of money into it. So I don't see anything happening at Caps United or at Highlanders. Maybe Highlanders would do a bit better than Dynamos and Caps. But unfortunately, I think with our football, the way it's going, we have got Scotland. I mean, he's got money to burn. So he's going to be spending, buying players. If you do well, they'll get cars. They do, it's sort of like, is it sustainable? Later on, we'll be talking about profit and sustainability. In our football, unfortunately, what's happening is that owners are using their own funds. Clubs cannot generate their own money for it to run. So you understand it cannot go beyond the lifetime of MP's Honorable Scott Sako Pwani. So if, for example, he decides not to fund football, what happens of his team? So what happens to Simba Bora when the owner says, you know what, I'm tired of football, it's too noisy, it's too chaotic, people are going to court, then what happens of it all? So you understand Dynamos as an institution, Highlanders and Caps, that it lives after the founding members, it lives after whoever is the CEO at the particular point. So that is where these clubs are going to be in trouble now. 10 years from now, Simba Bora, where will it be? Scotland didn't get a Kupi, and some of those questions that you have to ask.
Yeah, I think you bring up a very fair point, and I think we've got a huge list of clubs that we can actually go through. I think we've got, maybe I'll just mention close on to 10 that went through something like this. We've got Douglas Warriors, we've got Lincolns, we've got Gunners, we've got Sporting Lions, we've got Buymore. I mean, there are others which are totally eluding me right now, but a lot of clubs that came through privately funded, played one season, maybe one, Monomotapa even, that played a season, and then ultimately, after they were relegated, after a season or two, ultimately that all fell away. So hopefully this is something that can be sustained at some particular point and be taken to the next level, because the fancy cars, the lots of money, the big winning bonuses, they've attracted all these star players into one setting. But big question for you, Sean, is it now time for us to accept, much like what has happened maybe on the European football scene, where private owners come in obviously with heavier money than we're seeing locally, and they ultimately change the landscape of football, where privately owned clubs are now coming in and maybe overrunning some of the traditional giants within their particular leagues? Is this something we can say is also happening right here?
I think the sugar daddy approach Unfortunately for us, because of the state of our economy, we have to allow it to happen. But over time, is it sustainable? Can players actually say I'm earning a living, or I'm waiting for someone to say, you know what, you've beat Dynamos and then I'll give you $5,000, and you look after a family as a result of that. So you understand that some of these players that after leaving Scotland want to go to South Africa, where it's done more professionally. So we need to be more professional in our football, the way we run it. Even if there's little money, you put in, you do it well, you know exactly what needs to be done for a person to be an owner. Everything. I've got a problem with beat so and so to get. I have never seen that anywhere else in the world, only in Africa. So I think we are world class in our taste with the cars we drive, but we have to be world class in the way we run our companies, in the way we run our football clubs. Even if it's little money, but you make sure that, okay, no, you don't do this. You don't wait for say so and so to come through and say, boys, you've done well. I'll give you $1 million to the whole club. Everyone claps. It's all televised. It doesn't look. I mean, this is 2025.
We're going to take a little bit of a short break, and when we come back, we're looking at PSR rules. We're looking at how Manchester United did against Arsenal, and moving forward, what is Arsenal looking like? Where is the problem? How can they address it? Stay tuned as we give you more. All right, welcome back to Sports Extra. Sean, let's get straight into this one. Profit sustainability rules. It has been a major discussion even from last year. 140 plus breaches or whatever for Manchester City when it comes to overspending as compared to what their pocket can actually hold. All this was a big discussion, particularly in the Premier League, and a judgment has come out. Profit and sustainability rules that were broken or breached in 2023-2024, no club is going to be held accountable. How much of a sigh of relief will the likes of Man City be breathing, or even the likes of PSG?
Man City, they've got like 130 charges. So what if they get 5 more charges? So for them, it doesn't make much difference. But I'm thinking that clubs have now gotten wiser to what's happening. So you understand how they cook the books, and you also. It's not a coincidence that Man City, they're not spending as much. So you understand that they've been struggling. Rodri, they have to replace him. But in terms of buying, they know they want Zubimendi to come through, but they know they might not be able to afford him. So you understand. So we're discussing our own football. If they need a player of that ilk, they'll just put someone to sign the checkbook. But that's the difference. So that's where we have to be aiming for our own local football to go to, where we can become so professional that we follow the law.
Ultimately, now also there have been questions around the relevance of a profit sustainability rule, especially when it comes to other smaller clubs that now want to grow bigger. You get, for example, if I was just to toss in an example, you've got a League One side, if I'm correct, Wrexham United, that were bought by Ryan Reynolds from the USA, partner, and his partner, and they are quite backed up, and they've got money. But
to be honest, they're not backed up.
Well, okay,
they are not
billionaires.
Like the Qataris, they've got okay money. You know, it's a lot in Zim, but that part of the world.
Sure, there's a difference. There's a difference between filthy rich and just rich. Okay, so these guys are rich. They're not filthy rich. They're fine.
They're fine.
They're fine. You know, and maybe can afford to actually do some extra tidbits, which may not necessarily allow the level at which they are playing at. Can PSR actually still help them or work within that particular space, or is it actually suppressing them?
No, but we're asking the wrong question. Was it set up to help them?
Well, it was set up. It was set
for
up
the model to be sustainable.
Fair enough.
So you understand.
Yeah.
So the issue with them is longevity, in terms of the game, for the good of the game. It's not about individual clubs. Chelsea benefited when Roman Abramovich came through with lots of money, and we know Roman Abramovich. And you know, I followed even the Berezovich trial before, that even Abramovich was said to be part of the Russian mafia. If you read the court documents, you can see that. So this money is coming from other things, put into football. And now Chelsea fans here in Zimbabwe, we call them Mabrinya, so happy, so loud, but just funded through this nefarious activity by Roman Abramovich. So they're trying to stop things like that. So you make your money on the football pitch, you can spend however much you've made on the football pitch. So they give you a little bit of a leeway, but I think for the good of the game. But at the same time, it also benefits a club like Manchester United, because it's a big dog already, they got a bit more money, but even then, they're still suffering as a result. Liverpool, they can't even offer. Most Salah scores goals for fun, but they can't even offer to give a better contract, because Watford is now a bit older. So there's some of those issues you have to look at. But I think for me, it works as it is.
Well, it works as it is. That's what the Premier League is trying to sort out, and hopefully maybe it will work in that regard. But we move away from that one and we talk about, I'm not so sure if it was thrilling, because a number of a number of press outlets were saying a thrilling encounter. I think it was more of a cagey affair, and I would also say a failure on the part of a club such as Arsenal, who were touted for big things at the beginning of the season. Well, they were considered title contenders this season. They were considered title contenders, but look at where they are right now. They are out of the FA Cup. They are out of the Carabao Cup. Champions League, I do not
still in the
they will
Carabao
win.
Cup.
Oh, they're in the Carabao Cup.
Yeah, they've got second leg to come through with.
I don't think they'll make it far in the Champions League when we now really get to the business end of it.
But they're third, I think they're third.
But anyway, that's just my thoughts in general. So for Arsenal right now, what kind of space have they entered?
When Bukayo Saka went down, that for me, that is their season done and dusted. So Martin Odegaard missed a few games earlier on. We saw he was missed, but I knew that Bukayo Saka, that's where he's all at. So with him missing now, because he scores goals from midfield, from the wing, he scores a lot of them. Now they're struggling. Gabriel Jesus is not a 30-goal season striker. Now he's also injured. Then they've got Kai Havertz. Now everyone thinks Kai Havertz is a striker. He's never been a striker. But now if you put him a centre forward, you expect the output of a goal-getter from Kai Havertz. But he's not lethal enough. His goal record for Arsenal is good. He scores or contributes a goal every 2 games. That's not bad from midfield. But he does miss chances. And we saw that on Sunday, he would miss the penalty. That penalty he missed was a very good penalty. That save was superb. Yeah. But so for me, the Arsenal United match, I saw when the penalty was saved, I knew United were in with the chance. I remember watching the semi-final in '99 when Ryan Giggs scored the winner. It was almost similar. United were down to 10 men. Roy Keane got a red card early on in the match. They battled. So Ruben Amorim, what he's doing with United, he's got a plan. Whether it will work out, it's neither here nor there. Because we all know there are issues at United. It goes beyond players, goes beyond the coach. So we'll see. It's why how it all transpires in the long run.
Listening to quite a lot, whether from Arsenal Fan TV and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been brutal. They've been, hard on Arsenal. You as Mikel Arteta, God forbid, because Mikel Arteta is in a tough space. But you as Mikel Arteta, how do you address the challenge right now at Arsenal?
I think keep plugging away. They are 6 points away from the top. Yes, Liverpool has got a game in hand. They are right up there. I mean, they're better than Man City. So for me, it's when they play Newcastle in the second leg of the Carabao Cup, try to do their best. Go in all attack, try and reverse it. Then they could even make the final. Then as a result, they just need to keep at it in the league. Then they could even win it.
But is it a possibility though, Sean? You've got a guy that cannot deliver goals, or as many goals as you would want to challenge at the highest level. Who scores the goals?
No. The issue is not Kai Havertz. I'm trying to deflect you from looking at him. It's not his fault they're not buying a striker, because he's not a number 9. That's what I expected.
So why is he there? Why is he there? And why hasn't Arteta dealt with the issue? He's had transfer window after transfer window, and he's been told to deal.
Profit and sustainability.
Sell
Can
the
they
man.
afford?
Yeah, sell the man.
Why will you sell someone who's giving you a goal contribution every 2 games?
In any case, that brings us to the end of Sports Extra. I mean, we could talk for hours with Sean. We've got so much to unpack. I know that some of you are asking, what about the Australian Open? What about Cricket Champions Trophy? Don't worry, all of that I know is now beginning to unfold. And in the following episodes, we are going to be talking about that. So make sure that you do stay tuned, because the sporting action, both locally as well as internationally, will not be coming to an end, will not be ceasing. But it has been my pleasure as your host, Rumbo Chakreka, bringing you a Sports Extra, as well as my wonderful guest, Sean Chihuahua. Sean, always a pleasure to have you. All right, and of course, up until next time, from us, cheerio.